Have you noticed any cultural difference between dating in Nigeria and dating in Canada?
You see a lot of marriages that come from Nigeria, and when they get here, they can't survive anymore because the woman is now realizing she has rights and she has mouths to talk back.
It doesn't matter if you are in Nigeria or in Canada. Ladies are going to be Nigerian ladies are going to be Nigerian ladies everywhere.
I typically am not looking for somebody that still has very, very like traditional Nigerian worldviews, because like I know it's going to be a clash.
I think I'll stick to my Nigerian people because all those inside jokes we have, like carry your big head away. We will not understand. We're foolish boys.
Sarah was telling me recently about the fact that she sent money home to her parents, and the guy was wondering, so why you sending money home to? Don't they have retirement plans? And I'm like,
in a country like Canada, but what are the challenges for social gatherings, places to mingle and meet people?
I've heard people say Edmonton is not a place for single people. But one thing I realized that if you know, you know.
As much as we say Nigerians are everywhere, when you look at it realistically, we're kind of minorities in the city, right?
Well, it is very easy in Canada to be in a relationship. I can even say that there are more singles than married people, in Edmonton.
Is it nicer and is it easier? Is it more romantic dating abroad than in Nigeria? I know the answer is yes, but I want to have context.
A man would be broke and you're telling him not to look for a girlfriend, but a lady would be broke and be looking for a boyfriend. That shouldn't be.
No.
Tomiwa, go ahead, please.
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Tomiwa. I live in Edmonton as well. I work in mental health, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday type thing. I've been in Canada for a little bit over 20 years. I've been in Edmonton for just about 4 years. I kind of moved around a few provinces before settling in Edmonton.
Wow, when you said 20, like 20.
2000, yeah, since 2004.
Wow, you're not bad.
November 11.
Legacy, you are founders. You're a founder.
No, I wasn't born here. If I was born here, maybe you can call me legacy.
You're a founder. You're a founder. That's great. 20. I've not met anybody so far. I haven't met anybody else there.
All right. My name is Okoyemi. World people call me Trick. That is from Patrick. I've been in Canada for, I should be 5 in the next 1 or 2 weeks. And I work as an IT analyst in a software company here in Edmonton. And of course, I have other side also like every other person.
Thank you, Okoyemi. Thank you so much for that introduction. And welcome. So, Pelumi, you're next. Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I've been in Canada for 6 years and a few months. I work as an immigration consultant, and I also do catering. So those are my 2 main hustles. What else? I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
You want to plug your catering company?
The catering company is Eat, Pray, Love.
Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And Pelumi has some fantastic.
The food is good.
Food. That's nice. Trust me.
Nigerian food.
Yeah.
Nigerian food, yes.
Nigerian cuisine.
So, in a country, especially for immigrants, in a country like Canada, how difficult is it to meet? How is it? How hard, or what are the challenges that come when you social gatherings, places to mingle and meet people? Is that a challenge? Let me even know let's start with that. Is that a challenge? How difficult is it for immigrants, people who did not grow up or we were not born in this land, in this Canada? How difficult is it to mingle or socialize? Let me start with Okoyemi.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Well, sincerely for me, there are a whole lot of misconceptions that people think about Canada that I don't believe in. For example, when people say Canada is boring, Canada is, what's it called now? Lonely, all those kind of things. I really do not believe it. So another thing people say is, it's very difficult to meet people here in Canada. I don't know about others, but that has been one of one of the easiest things I've done in Canada, meeting people, right? So there are a whole lot of channels to meet people. You can meet people, at work, meet people at social gatherings, meet people even on dating sites, right? So I just believe that if you put in, the work, you're going to meet people, and it will get to a point you're going to get tired of meeting people, right? So for me, the um the size of Canada doesn't really matter. I'm in Edmonton here, and trust me, I have friends in all the major cities in Canada, and there are friends that I've never even met before. Why? Because social media is a very small space. One or two clicks on your social app, get connected to people in Manitoba, people in Ontario, and everything. So if people are not willing to put in the work, trust me, it's going to be very difficult to meet, people from other parts of the country or in other areas of the city. But if you are intentional about meeting people, trust me, you're going to meet a whole lot of people. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Oh, interesting. I didn't think you'll come from that angle. Kwame is saying that it's very easy. That
Very
people
easy. Very easy.
doesn't believe that it's difficult to meet people.
Nah,
I don't. From share that you share his own views that socializing and meeting people in Canada is easy. What's your
I would say the key word that he said is intentionality. Like, obviously, to be fair, I kind of spent most of my time in Canada versus growing up in Nigeria, right? So I think a lot of people that come here as adults have the contrast of like growing up in Nigeria, everything is always bubbling versus here. And I think that's why they find it so boring. But again, I think the key word is intentionality. I feel like what I remember from Nigeria is that you know your neighbors, everybody knows everybody, there's always social gatherings, you're always seeing people on the streets, you're always just seeing people type of thing. But here in Canada, you can live 20 years somewhere without knowing your neighbor or knowing your neighbor's name and things like that. So I think, like he said, it takes being intentional. Like, I want to make friends. There's not that many events happening, but when there's an event happening, even though you might have had a long day at work, being like, okay, let me get dressed, let me go out at that event, let me put myself out there, right? I think it can be so easy because obviously working hard here, we get tired, the 9 to 5, all of that, but you really have to be like, I want to meet people, I want to go out, what if I go to this event and then there's someone that I could connect with. You really have to come from that mindset and be intentional about it. Otherwise, it could be easy to get lonely, to get bored, because everybody keeps to themselves unless you go out there and put yourself out there. That's my take.
You have something to say?
See, I share the same view with what Okwemi and Tomiwa said, especially when you come to Canada here, if you're in a place like Edmonton here. I've heard people say Edmonton is not a place for single people. Edmonton is boring, nothing is happening in Edmonton. But one thing I realized that if you know, and let me put it that way, I had the same impressions when I came at first, because when you're coming from Nigeria, someone you stayed in Lagos, you could walk out of your streets, there's a lounge here, there's something here, you go in there. Over here, it's different, you come in here, even if you go to a pub, it's the white folks that are in there. You go in there, you do not really know people, you do not really mix and everything. But I think that if you're intentional, you will find, because even I'm a married guy, but I have been to some places. Like, I had a colleague one day tell me, hey, when I came out, I was like, oh, he asked me, how has it been in Canada? So I'm like, yeah, it's just been all right, nothing much, unless, the few one or two gatherings we Nigerians try to have and everything. And I was like, okay, you know what are you doing next weekend? I'm like, what is that? I'm inviting you to, and that's why I say, if you know. I went to some place on the outskirts of Edmonton. He invited me to one party. The house is mad in the first place. And when I got there, what I saw, I'm like, I've been to one or two gatherings with him again, and I'm like, okay, interesting. So when I see people say, and I'm like, you're coming from Nigeria, and I understand, or you're coming from Lagos, I understand where you're coming from, Well, you should mingle with the people where things are happening. Trust me, crazy things are happening here.
But Pelumi, are you mingling with the right people? Do you know these places that Okwemi is talking about? Do you know these spots?
I know the one Adebusi is talking about, but I know the one Okwemi is talking about. So Adebusi's one is a little bit wilder, I think, based on the words he used.
How do you know?
So what are your own thoughts?
But I think that I agree with Tomiwa and Trick in terms of how easy it is to meet. At least just meet first and say hello, hi, and then everything else follows. It's easy. There are lots of events, especially in the summertime. Although we have a very long winter, like almost 9 months or 8 months of winter, but once it's summertime, everybody is out in our city of Edmonton. Festivals, events, shows, parties, birthdays. So the avenues to meet are limitless, actually. And then we have the online too, dating apps, WhatsApp groups. So meeting is easy, I would say.
So now we have used that to start now. So if meeting is easy, at least from what the four of you have said, there's no issue or there's no challenge with meeting you. So if meeting is easy, let's move into the second gear. The second gear is, how do you convert that meeting into building or starting a relationship with someone? And is it easier to be in a relationship with a fellow Nigerian or fellow African than a non-Nigerian in your own city, in your own space? What's the story like? How does that work?
Yeah, I think it gets a little bit tricky because as much as we say Nigerians are everywhere, when you look at it realistically, we're kind of minorities in the city, right? So even if we use, for example, like a dating app, you have to be particular about the dating app because when you go on the app, you're just going to be seeing a bunch of white people or Igbo people holding fish, stuff like that, at least from the women's side, yeah, with their pickup truck in the back, all of that. And then you just have to kind of keep swiping left until you see one melanin and you're like, okay, wait, you now see them smoking cigarettes. Okay, fine, left. So it makes the pool a little bit smaller, honestly, as far as online. Like there's still ways to meet people, but again, if you're looking at a pool of minorities, which is Nigerians, okay, fine, we've kind of tapped in there. We can meet people at events during the summer. Then when you now look at, okay, the pool of other people that are also single, then that pool is getting smaller again, right? And then you look at the pool of other people that are single and looking for relationships, serious relationships, then that pool is really much smaller. So as far as stepping out of your house, meeting people, that's nice and easy, right? But then you might meet someone cool, they're married. You might meet someone cool, they're not looking for a relationship. So sometimes I think it's important to kind of open it up a little bit versus like being very specific with Nigerians only. Because if you want to open up that pool and like have more options being available, you might need to be open to other African countries, people from other African countries. You might even need to be open to white people, right? So, yeah.
Well, thanks. Before I see your hand, thanks, Okwemi. Thanks, Tomiwa, for that. You just talked about the funnel. From the bigger part of the funnel to the small part. When you start to filter and filter and filter, it is realize if you have too many, what's the word now?
Criteria.
Yeah.
Maybe the only people that will fit into that small list would be 2 or 3 people. Maybe 2 of them are your cousins, and that's out of the way. So the point is, is very small, and then it gets smaller and smaller. So you have something to say before I continue. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I'm not saying Canada has done a disservice to people, but I think that the way it happened is, and why I kind of feel for a lot of single people, especially from Nigeria, is that when a lot of Nigerians, I don't know the demographics, or the numbers, but I think 70% or 80% of Nigerians that moved to Canada came in through the whole express entry route. And that route, at that point in time, you'll find out that most of the people that came in were married people because, the points, you stand a better chance of getting more points if you're married or like if you're single and blah, blah, blah. So you find out that most people came in married. So you find out that now, there's a fewer number of single people. Now, you where you find more single people is maybe those who came in as students in here. You probably came to do a master's or you came to do your BSc. Then another thing I now realize is there are a few Nigerians who grew up here. And when you speak to them or you have conversations with them, you realize that there's a difference or a mentality difference between a Nigerian that grew up here and Nigerian that grew up in Nigeria. There are some things you can't, or let me say you take into cognizance, and there's some things. So sometimes again, it kind of bridges that gap. So it's made it very, very narrow and very, very difficult for a couple of them navigating that whole relationship world or that dating.
As you were talking and as I was talking, I saw Kwame smiling. So I'm very curious. Can't wait to hear what's your own experience. Let's even hear what's your own story, Kwame. How has it been for you in Canada?
My experience, I believe, might be somewhat different to other singles in Edmonton or in Canada, right? Because for me, getting in and out of relationship is fairly easy. Like I said, it's easy to jump into a relationship. It could be for the wrong reasons, it could be for the right reason. It is very easy in Canada to be in a relationship, right? There are a whole lot of single people in Canada, a whole lot. Like I can even say that there are more singles than married people, in Edmonton. For example, a whole lot of single people. But unfortunately, most single people are, in their shell, they hardly come and they just believe that, they come to the country with the idea that there are no singles in Canada. So because of that, they just stick to their, comfort zone and probably talk to people abroad. Now, I am in different, single groups. I'm in different groups, and I can tell you that there are a whole lot of people who are willing to date and are ready to date. Now, we're talking about I think the one mentioned something about dating outside Nigerians, right? Yeah. For me, I'm not going to be caught dating outside, the black race. Even though most of the time I still find it difficult to date outside, Nigeria. It has to be a Nigerian, right? But now, if we want to take it outside Nigeria, there are a whole lot of differences that we can't really, what's the word now? We can't really, understand basically. Tomorrow mentioned something about, a white guy holding fish in the background, and all these things are not what we do in Nigeria. I don't want to wake up on a Saturday morning and be going hiking. Nah, I don't do that. So for me, the white race or any other race is a no-no. But for people who are willing to do it, that's very good. For me, I'm unable to
love
do
your
it.
confidence. I mean, I love your confidence. I like how you have been very cool about this relationship thing. You look like if you want to get married this year, it's just for you to
No.
see that.
Facts.
No, I tell people if I don't get married in the next 1 hour, I can, at least,
You don't need to
talk to a few people. We'll get married in the next 5 hours.
I know. Now, so Pelumi, we have heard all these things. What do you think that lifestyle in the lifestyle in Canada, this 9 to 5 kind of work, or you working around the clock, having multiple jobs, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, those kind of things, does it give you time to even nurture any kind of relationship? And have you noticed any cultural differences between dating in Nigeria and dating in Canada? You and Okwemi came to Canada about 5-6 years ago. I've been here for 2 decades. So I'm sure your own experiences be different. So I would like to hear your own take on these 2 questions.
Let me start with the second question. There is a cultural difference. Like Trick was alluding to some of it, where the man wants to feel needed and also wants to feel like he's in charge. Here, the women are they also want to feel that same way. So it's a case of partnership. It's more of a case of partnership, not just leader and follower like it is in Nigeria mostly. So you see a lot of marriages that come from Nigeria, and when they get here, they can't survive anymore. because the woman is now realizing that she has rights, she has rights, and she has mouths to talk back, so to say. And but for dating, I don't think there's a big difference in the dating aspect, so to say, because what you're experiencing, he's also experiencing. Changes that are going through your own head, he's also going through his own head. So both of us are male and female Nigerians here. We're adjusting to each other. And there's a lot of people that go back home and go bring a spouse because they realize that they can't find something that they want here. And Nigeria is still the home of all the options. So a lot of my friends have imported, let's use the word imported husbands and wives. And I know that it's also a possibility for me to import, but I'm not looking forward to importing. I would really like to meet somebody here and just get on with
I wanted
it.
to ask Tomiwa because Tomiwa has a unique, her own circumstances is unique. She grew up most of her life here. So I was going to ask Tomiwa that I don't know if you've had the experience.
Yeah, it's a tough place to be honest. Sometimes I feel like I guess I may be looking for a unicorn because it's true, there are definitely cultural differences. Like I came to Canada when I was 10, right? And while that's young, like I did like spend my formative years in Nigeria, right? So I like to think of it like I took the parts of the culture of Nigeria that I like, kind of discarded the parts that didn't make sense to me, took the parts of Canadian culture I like, discarded the parts. So it's still kind of a unique worldview. So as I'm dating, I want to say that I typically am not looking for somebody that very recently came or someone that still has very, very like traditional Nigerian worldviews because like I know it's going to be a clash. I've been there, done that. It's going to be a clash just because like I see things differently than they do. And like obviously everyone has a right to their own beliefs and worldviews, right? You know, it's like that whole the man is the head, the woman is the neck. I know that's very controversial or like just like taken as like fact, but like I don't know, the way I see relationships, I see kind of like someone mentioned earlier, a partnership, right? Like that's my idea of the ideal relationship rather than the body parts thing of someone being the head, someone being the neck. So like I guess to cut the long story short, my experience with dating people that have very traditional Nigerian worldviews. In the past, when I was younger, I find like I kind of had to like shrink myself a little bit, betray the parts of myself that I believed in to kind of fit that mold, right? And that's because I was young, I was naive, maybe I wanted to be chose, whatever. I like the person. But I think now at my age of like being 30, I look for either a Nigerian that's more open-minded, less entrenched in like very, very Nigerian culture, more willing to listen and to be open-minded. Like that's the kind of Nigerian I look for. Or yeah, I'm okay with dating non-Nigerians as well. I think it's not about like where they're from, whether they're Nigerian, African, or white, as long as they kind of share that worldview of what a relationship looks like, you know, that partnership, that maybe not so fixed in gender roles versus let's all do what works best for us and our relationship so we can make it the best that we can. And so that's something very important to me. In dating, I weed it out very quickly. It's questions I ask very soon just to kind of determine if I should move forward or not. Yeah.
How about non-Nigerian?
Oh, and non-Nigerians, yeah, like I mean, obviously they'll have more of a Canadian worldview, which maybe fits a little bit more neater with my worldview. However, there's nothing as comfortable as dating in Nigeria. And at the end of the day, no matter how long I've been here, I'm Nigerian, right? My parents are Nigerian, my friends are Nigerian, my food is Nigerian, everything. So I think that's the part that I then miss if I date a non-Nigerian. Like I have dated white people and it's a lot of like educating them about our culture. It's a lot, and like, you know, very often they're interested, right? You know, I'm like, oh, this is Nigeria, this is my last trip. I'm showing them pictures, they're like, wow. But you know, it's kind of like they don't get the jokes. I'm like getting them to try jollof rice for the first time, stuff like that. So I think with each there's pros and cons. Yeah. Trick.
Okwemi, please. Thank you so much, Tomira, for that. Okwemi, please go ahead. Raise your hand.
Yeah, so I feel a lot of Nigerians downplay the importance of shared experiences, right? I've tried to be friends with a couple of non-Nigerians, even non-blacks, and there are some things I say that they can't relate with, and there are some things they say that I can't relate with. Even when I go to the office and we are all gathered and they are making jokes, and I'm looking at them like, so what's funny about this, right? And when I probably invite one or two of them to my gatherings and we're screaming, we're shouting, we're enjoying ourselves, they are worried for us, like, are you guys fighting or what? Right? So there are still some other things that you probably just see a meme on Instagram, and you try to share it with somebody who doesn't understand the rationale behind the meme. You have to start explaining, right? So for me, I don't think that is a situation I want to be in,
You
right?
explain tire.
Exactly. I don't want to be in that kind of situation. I don't want to be in a situation where at every point in my life I have to start explaining the things I do. Someone was telling me recently about the fact that she sent money home to her parents, and the guy was wondering, so why you sending money home to? Don't they have retirement plans? And I'm like, in Nigeria, we are the retirement plans for our parents, right? So it's always very difficult, to try to make them understand these things. Of course, there are some people who are open to these things, but I don't think their percentage is well enough, for us to now start, dating them. For people who can date them, like I said earlier, fine. But for some of us, shared experiences is good. And trust me, I don't want to wake on a Saturday morning and be eating omelette when I can probably eat drink pap or something, right? This kind of the food culture. When I go to restaurants, with my colleagues and the other food, I look at them like, okay, so you guys are planning to eat this, right? I can't relate with it, and I don't think I want to spend the rest of my years on earth, eating food I not used to. If I'm not eating something spicy, I want to eat something, that I can relate with, not eating cheese and all those kind of things. But Toma wouldn't be able to relate to this. And Pelumi too, during her last birthday, decided to cook what I do not know. And I'm like, okay, she is 6 years in Canada now, so she's already getting into the mix. So yeah,
There's no
I have to
price,
say,
though.
no, that was jollof rice, but there was something else that I couldn't understand.
Why not be adventurous and try new foods?
I've tried to be
That's how
adventurous,
we grow.
but I ended up in the washroom while trying to be adventurous. So there's really no point trying it again, right? So that's why for me, even when I go to restaurants, I probably like to go to buffet than going to the normal restaurant, because when I see their whatever their book and I look at all this, I don't even know what they are. I'm like, see, is there anything that looks and tastes like rice here? But when I go to buffet, I see what I want to take and I pick, right? So all these things, I'm not maybe
You sound
just
like
who
my
I am.
dad.
Just who I am. I'm not adventurous with food. Let me stick to what I know and just go about my life with that.
Okay. You probably came to Canada in your 30s. I'm guessing.
Absolutely, absolutely,
So,
absolutely,
so you were well from Nigeria. Did a very,
absolutely, absolutely.
it's tough. It's tough to unlearn. It's tough to you could change, but you still have that thing in you that is a strong core. We need to know how interracial couples make these things work, because many of the things you talked about, while it may be a con for you, it's a pro for other people. People find the thrill of getting to know someone else's culture. Before we go to Pelumi, I see Tomima raised her hand. You
Oh, sorry, just really quickly, I wanted to interject a little on what Trick was saying about the omelette and the hiking and white people. Not every, like, there's a lot of non-Nigerian people that maybe grew up around, grew up around Nigerians or other immigrants. They are well traveled, so you don't have to explain everything to them. They kind of know what's up. Obviously, they are not the majority, but there are those people as well. So I just want to, defend our less melanated homies there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's possible to date those people as well.
Pelumi, what
Okay.
has been your own experience so far? with maybe non-Nigerians, maybe let's even say Africans in general, maybe Africans who live there and Africans
That
who
person I tried to date in Edmonton was Guyanese, and it just wasn't working because it's even worse than white because it's now a black man that doesn't have the same experiences as you have. So you have that expectation of a black man that you're not getting it. So I think I'll stick to my Nigerian people. There's something I read somewhere that said it's not easy to translate your soul to somebody else. I think that's how it will feel when you have to date a non-Nigerian, because all those inside jokes we have, like Trick said, the memes you share, carry your big head away. You will not understand. Or foolish boys, all those things we say, all those jokes, like those insults that we insult each other that we know that it's just a joke. They will not get it. Then
and you're finding yourself having to apologize every time. Say, I didn't mean your head is big.
I'm sorry.
You don't.
How would I dance to my Sonny Ade music, my loud fella, Fuji music, everything? It won't be easy. So I think the easy thing is just to date a Nigerian, but never say never as well.
Nigerian women in Nigeria generally have a rule, and the rule is that they don't take initiative. They are not the people who make the first move. And I know it's different abroad. And I would like you guys to expatiate if you had any experiences in that. I'm sure I have an idea of how you guys will talk
about your shorts.
Okwemi will raise his hand. Oh, sorry, Trick. Trick was the first.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's hear. Right. Call me anything. All right. So basically, I think that rule is universal. It doesn't matter if you are in Nigeria or in Canada. Ladies are going to be Nigerian ladies are going to be Nigerian ladies everywhere. Nigerian ladies in Canada, at least the few I've met, they do not have that thought process. The best they will do is to give you green light. And it's just the same way they will give you green light when you're in Nigeria, like, oh, what's up? What are you doing tomorrow? Can I come over to your house? Or can we go out on a date? That was the best they would. Even can we go out on a date? They probably wouldn't do that.
Probably eye contact.
No, they won't do that. They'll probably just keep smiling at you. That's the best thing they do. But for them to voice it out, they would never do that. They would rather dance single than do that, right? But of course, they can always, maybe low key, flirt with you, maybe low key, just try to have small talks with you, and that's the best thing they will do. But they will never outrightly talk to a man like, hey, I like you. Are you single? They will never do that. I don't know if I'm wrong, but Tomiwa, I know Tomiwa might still be able to do that, but Pelumi, I doubt it.
Tomiwa, is this true? And you mentioned that you like to take some things from the Nigerian culture, some things from the Canadian culture. What Trick has talked about right now, is that
part of the Nigerian culture that I keep?
This part of Nigerian culture?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, let me not cast myself, only because Pelumi was there. One time I was drunk, okay, and I decided to approach a guy, and I said that's the last time. That was the first and the last time. It's foreign. I'm never doing it drunk or sober. Yeah, I can't.
What happened? What happened?
I was like, how do men do this? No, the guy had a girlfriend and all that, which was fine. He bought me a drink. We sat down, we chatted for a bit still, or whatever. But I was just like, damn. And he was so sweet about it, to be honest. But yeah, I was like, I can't do this. But they gingered me out. Pelumi and them, they were gingering me. So
we're cheering for her to go.
Yeah, they're like, oh, he was looking at you. He made this comment. Oh, he was asking about this. I'm like, okay, let me. Yeah, that's the part of Nigerian culture I take.
Trust me, a typical Nigerian girl, even when she's being gingered, won't go.
Alcohol was involved.
No, even a Nigerian girl, even if alcohol is involved, typical Nigerian girl who moved there 3, 4, 5 years ago won't do what you did.
Oh. Okay, Pelumi, how has it been when they've gingered you when you've been on the other side?
Nobody will tell you gingered me, but me, if I like a guy, I'll let the guy know in a way that is not too pushy. So maybe I'll just start saying hello to him. Hi, big head. How are you? If I give you too much attention, you don't catch it, then you're not too smart. So that means you're not for me.
This bigot phrase is the term of endearment because
Yeah,
once
you
someone
get the thing of endearment, yes.
digging me, she's digging me. I don't know. Meanwhile, so that way. So that's why I now get why you talk about Nigerians and because tell somebody who's a non-Nigerian big head, person will just get offended.
You start apologizing so much and you won't understand. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. You don't understand. I'm like, are you body shaming me? Are you? No, I'm
body shaming.
Is it nicer? Is it nicer and is it easier? Is it more romantic dating abroad than in Nigeria? I know the answer is yes, but I want to have context. What I'm saying by that is this: dating abroad, I think dating abroad is a bit easy and cheaper, for
the man, because he spends less.
First dates, are so
yeah. Instead of going to eat a full meal.
I think a first date should be. Personally, I don't think you should go out and watch movies on your first date because you're not doing any talking. You're not communicating. So first date is supposed to be a neutral place, very easy going, maybe a park or something. All the parks in Lagos are under lock and key. The sun will not even allow you to concentrate or focus well. You are not going to be walking down any road in Lagos or Lagos Island or anywhere. And then one Agbero is coming and snatching your bag or anything. So how dating abroad is it? I think. What's your experience? I think it's easier. I think it's more romantic. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm old school. I don't know.
I think Nigerian guys in Nigeria spend more.
Exactly.
You spend more when you're in Nigeria.
So does that make it more romantic, spending more?
Those are the things that add to it. No romance without finance.
Exactly. That's one thing I do not like. Equating romance with finance, right? Because I feel there are two different things, right? I could be romantic.
Be broke and be looking for a girlfriend up and down, like.
Exactly. That's another thing I do not like. A man would be broke and you're telling him not to look for a girlfriend, but a lady would be broke and be looking for a boyfriend. That shouldn't be.
No, nobody should be looking.
Nobody should be looking if you're broke.
Yeah,
except if a broke guy and a broke girl, they are willing to come together.
Yes.
Right?
And they just hang out on their mattress every day. Yeah.
I'm making babies.
But you know what that would lead to if they hang out on their mattress every day?
Making babies.
What other options do they have? They're broke. People have the most kids.
They go to the park and walk around and fantasize about their future.